Okay, so it's recording. So this evening, I'm live here from the book gallery with the virtual event featuring Meredith McGee from Jackson, Mississippi. She is a professional writer, owner of Typing Solutions, Resume, and etc. She's founder of the Community Library of Mississippi, and she is responsible in some way for 27 books. And my name is Mary Hardy. I present to you Meredith McGee.
Thank you, Mary, and then Hardy. And it's an honor to be doing a virtual book event at the book gallery. And I want to say this, the book gallery has been a wonderful blessing to me as a Black author in the state of Mississippi. I've always had a good turnout and been able to introduce my books to more readers in person at the book gallery. And I think the last time I was in person at the book gallery was in 2019. And so it's really nice to be here in 2021. And as Mary was telling you, I am a book publisher and I am an author and a poet. I have 8 works, 5 works that I wrote by myself. And I wrote my first published book with a lady named Darlene Collier, which is Married to Sin. And it was translated into Spanish, Casada al Pecado. And I wrote 2 one reference book, a children's dictionary, which we just revised right after the inauguration and added the new photograph of all of the that includes President Biden and also Kamala Harris, and a list of all of the vice presidents. And it was really interesting because when you look at the list of vice presidents, a lot of them became president. Then you see a sister. And we also added the Bill of Rights and the 3 branches of government. And of course, this is vegetables and fruits. This book is primarily for preschool, kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade. But it's the kind of book that a child can use throughout the elementary years because it gives the continents, a list of all of the countries in Africa, fruits, vegetables, basic sentences, pronouns, and it's a good reference tool for children on the elementary level. The other one, and both of these books, Meredith, etc., my small press in Jackson, Mississippi, produced for Community Library of Mississippi. And this is the second one, my first book series. All of the proceeds support Community Library of Mississippi, which we have a book club, and we have other speaking programs and series. And it's 208 pages of activities for children pre-K through 2nd grade. It includes words with letters from A to Z. My second book was Odyssey. This is the first edition. I also have a second edition. This was done in 2013. And I have a children's book series. Dashida is the character. She's a Black girl who loves to read, and her book series teaches civics, history, and our culture. And the first Nishida series was on Smith Robinson. And there is a museum here in Jackson called the Smith Robinson Museum. And Smith Robinson is a personal hero of mine. He was the first Black lawmaker in the city of Jackson. He was the alderman of the city of Jackson for 20 years from um, 1879 to 1899. And he raised the money to create, it's called the Mother School. It was the first school in the state of Mississippi, public school for Blacks. And it was created in 1894. And now it is a museum, a state-of-the-art museum. If you ever come to Jackson, you must visit the Smith Robinson Museum. And this was the first book. This is a biography that I did on my uncle. This one came out March 21st, 2013. And it was originally published by Fraser Publishing in Santa Barbara, California, which is it is under the imprint of ABC Clio, which produces textbooks. So when I sent my manuscript, I had to convert it from APA to Chicago for the textbook market. And this particular book is in the international market. It's in college libraries around the world. And in 2019, I was able to get my contract with Prager revised and obtain the right to produce the second edition of this book, James Meredith, Warrior and the America That Created Him, which really gave me a lot of freedom because I was able to add more. When I first had it commercially published, I was allowed to give 8 photographs, and I had to purchase the use of 2 historical photographs. But I was able to add more family photographs in the second printing. And also I added more pages. I think I added almost 50 additional pages. So this is 78,000 words, 335 books. So what I wanted to do was ask people in the audience, have you read any of my books? And if you have, which one did you read?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, I've read snippets of the James Meredith book. I've just read a few snippets of that. And then I have, is it Starkeisha? But that's from one of your other authors.
Yes,
Starkeisha.
yes. Starkeisha, we published her book in 2014.
Okay. So I've read snippets of the books. I haven't read them
Okay.
entirely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, does anybody? Before I'm gonna read I'm gonna read an endorsement from the late former governor of Mississippi, William Winter. He was the governor from 1980 to 1984. This is the remark that he gave about my book. This is a remarkable commentary on the life and career of an exceptional man who has always marched to his own drumbeat. James Meredith remains an enigma to many, but all of us have been compelled to admire his courage and independence. This volume represents a fascinating insight not only into the identity of this intriguing human being, but also into many of the historic events of the stormy times in which he lived. It is an important addition to our understanding of our conflicted past, but just as importantly to the recognition of our common humanity. And Alice Thomas Tisdale, um, who was the publisher of the Jackson Advocate, which is Mississippi's oldest existing Black-owned newspaper. This is what her blurb was. As piercing and as lasting as the shotgun pellets which wounded him in 1966, this straightforward account of Mississippi's most heralded living freedom fighter is presented without excuse or pause by his niece, Meredith, who is herself a hero in the war against injustice. And this is Rashida. This is the Smith Robertson Museum. I'm just going to read the first page. Hello, beautiful girls, handsome boys.
Hey there, I have arrived now.
Okay, Vicky.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. Hello, beautiful girls, handsome boys, and all readers and learners. My name is Dashida. I live in Jackson, Mississippi. I am in the 2nd grade. My name means student. Grandma Nana named me. Mom and Dad said I would learn something new every day for the rest of my life. After I watched the movie Selma, I was surprised about our history. My parents told me they were going to teach me something about my culture and country every Saturday. Mom and Daddy showed me a lot of pictures. And this is some of the pictures. This is young people walking in the streets of Selma, an actual picture from 1965. And that's the made John Lewis famous. Okay, so Vicky, have you read any of the books I wrote?
I did read some of I read some of the first part of J Boys, and I thank you. I thank you for the gift. And I read Mother Wit, and they said if ain't nothing going on but the rent.
Okay.
And you got the J, and you got to have a JOB if you want to be with me.
Okay. She's talking about our latest publication, Mother With, which was our, I think, the 26th print book that we produced, this small press here in Jackson. And Miss that's one of the quotes that Miss Irma has in her book, Mother With. So I have 8 books, a biography, a memoir, the Nashida volumes, and then we have the picture dictionary and my first book series. And also we have the other books, if anyone is interested in getting them, when they are memoirs, biographies, poetry. One is a murder mystery, and we have other. So if you were interested in any of the books that we've published, they are available as well. So I wanted to see if anybody has any questions.
I'm sorry I'm late. So how late am I?
Oh, that's okay. We're glad that you were able to come. Okay, so can I ask the audience, what kind of books do you like to read? Memoirs, biographies, nonfiction, fiction?
Now, me, I prefer fiction.
Yeah, because you're a John Grisham fan.
Yeah, I'm a John Grisham fan. Yeah, I prefer
Yeah.
fiction. John Grisham. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you also become pretty fond of William Tress's books. He
Yeah, I
does
have.
novellas. Yeah, at one time it was only Starkeisha, William Tress, and me standing in this company. And since then we produced 17 authors, but it was just the three of us because we only started this company 8 years ago, 2013.
But now, see, when I first heard from you just a short time ago, since we were talking about trust book and all in the politics, I was downtown at the courthouse.
Oh yeah, but you mean before the pandemic?
Well, yeah, no, I was just down there just a short time ago. I couldn't go inside and sit in or anything, but I did know some people who were there and security and so forth. And I did go and just talk with them. And one of the security officers is one of my sorors, red skirts, as your mother says. And so that was where I was, just talking with her and getting all this information about when all this stuff was supposed to get started. But nobody seems to really know. So I can imagine that. I can understand that.
And Vicki, you have some company on, I believe.
Pardon me?
Jean, aren't you? Vicki Sora?
Yes. She's
Okay, you have Jean Pittman on and Vicki Jenkins, who is Sora.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I have here in the book gallery Odyssey by Meredith McGee.
Okay.
Merit to Sin here in the book gallery. And James Meredith here in the book gallery.
Okay.
Now, Miss Mary, this book that you have, they're now selling it for $59.
$59.
Yes.
All right. Well, I have it.
I sell it for 44, but for some reason, the price of what, and the publisher took the price up. The publisher is selling it for $53. At first, it was $48. So that was interesting to me that they went up. Now, when I produced this book, which has more historical pictures and family pictures, and it brought my uncle's life up from age 78 to 86. I sell this one for $34 and $34.98. And I also produced the first paperback edition for $14.98. So I just wanted to let you know that book is selling for more than $48 now.
Okay. All right.
The one you got in the book gallery.
All right.
Uh-huh. The first printing of a book is usually the most valuable book. That's why this edition retails for higher than the second edition, which we produce by Small Press.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I'm gonna read. I'm gonna read a little bit in here about Unita Blackwell. Is there anyone on here that knows Unita Blackwell?
I've met her once.
Oh, you did. Where did you
Mhm.
meet her?
She was in Greenville.
Okay. So she's one of my this book is about my uncle and his generation. I interviewed 60 people, um, including our relatives, his first cousin, my mother's first cousins, and other people who were involved. Of course, Unita Blackwell was she was I think 45 when she got involved in the movement, but once she got involved, wow, she did so much. So this is a paragraph or two from my interview with Miss Unita Blackwell. By 1966, the children and grandchildren of slaves in the Mississippi Delta who were challenging the white power structure were having a hard time. In reality, the Civil Rights Act of 1965 had not changed anything for the African American citizens in the Mississippi Delta. They were giving us hell, Anita Blackwell, a SNCC organizer, said frankly. Blackwell was born March 18, 1933, same year as my uncle, 1933, in Lula, Mississippi. We lived on Mr. Hamilton's plantation, she stated. His name could have been Hampton because my mama told me his name, but she couldn't pronounce words good. Blackwell continued. Verdi May did not go far in school. She had a third or fourth grade education. My father, Willie Brown, died many years ago, but mama died last year, August of 2005. She was 90 years old. So my interview with Unita Blackwell was in 2006. And this book came out in 2013. And I just was just showing the process of how long it takes to interview 60 people and to get 16 rejection letters before you actually get a committee to vote to publish your book. And I'm gonna read. This is the sheet of visits Mississippi's old Capitol Museum. I'm gonna read a portion of that. This is chapter 1. This is a chapter book. Hello, readers and learners. The sheet of visits Mississippi's old Capitol Museum is the third volume of the Moses Meredith Cultural Arts Children Book Series. Now, Moses Meredith was my grandfather. He was born in 1891. He passed in 1865. This story describes Rashida's tour of the old Capitol Museum at the capital city of Jackson, Mississippi. Rashida, a 10-year-old fifth grader, was born in Jackson at the University of Mississippi Medical Center in 2009. Mississippi is a southern state of the United States on the continent of North America in the Western Hemisphere. Mississippi joined the Union December 10, 1817. Biloxi, Jackson, Gulfport, and Hattiesburg are the state's four largest major cities. The Capitol Museum is a key part of the state's rich history. People from around the world visit the capital city to partake of its iconic historical sites and markers. Rashida has been learning local history through museum tours, historical markers, and extra study. During the summer of 2017, at age 8, Rashida visited a museum for the first time in her life. She toured the Smith Robinson Museum and Cultural Center and completed the City of Jackson Civil Rights Driving Tour, where she learned about Senator James O. Eastman, civil rights icon, Medgar Evers, author, Margaret Walker Alexander, civil rights lawyer Ira Jess Brown, and other local historical figures. So that's a little piece of that particular book. So I wanted to see now if anybody in the audience has any question or comments.
I'm just glad to be a part. This is my first time knowing about, hearing about your works, and I'm sorry to say that, but I have not. But it seems like there's something I'm probably interested in doing now that I don't have anything to do because I'm retired and sitting in the house, and so I can, just do some reading and doing some things. So
Okay, and what do you like to read?
It really doesn't matter. I just read whatever. If it's something that's interesting, and I want to know about it, I just read it, whatever.
Okay.
Because I taught English almost 40 years. So I've read a lot of stuff. So it didn't make
Oh,
me.
wow. You are a former English teacher. What school?
Right. Greenville High.
Okay. Yeah, I've been to O'Bannon High School. I was the next Stafford invited me to be the Black History speaker one year there at O'Bannon High School.
I started out at O'Bannon, but I ended up at Greenville High for 30 years.
Okay. And we also have a book club. If you'd like to join our book club, it's called the Learning Tree Book Club. We read together once a month. In fact, we'll be reading together April the 3rd, which is the first Saturday of the month. And we read together from 2 to 3:30 Central Time, our time, on the first Saturday of every month.
Oh, I'll let you know.
And Jean, I can send you the link. Once I get it, I can forward that link to you.
Okay.
And Jean, have you thought about writing your memoir?
I thought about it, but I haven't got started yet. I've been doing a lot of thinking about writing things, but at this time now, I'm not really doing anything really.
Okay, so you just need to put pen to paper.
Right.
Thank you.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Oh, just fine. How are you, Lynette?
I'm doing fine. I'm just really excited about today. I have shared it. I have sent text messages out. I think this is wonderful that even during this pandemic, people are able still to gather together and have meaningful conversations and, just enjoy each other and learn from each other. And I like to say that I met Meredith through her book about her uncle. And I've been knowing Mary forever, and I love going to the book gallery. So I think and I'm glad that you two have met and have collaborated together and networked together. I think everything has just been lovely.
Okay, so Lynette, I want to ask you a question. You've read how many of my 8 books?
I can't tell you. I think I read all of your works and your author's work and the people that you represent.
I know most because you've interviewed William
Starkeisha,
Mary Hardy. Mary Harrison Coleman. Me.
I hadn't talked to your uncle yet. We've been trying to get together, but maybe this year, next year it'll work out.
Yes. So of the books that you read of mine, could you tell me which ones you really liked it?
Well, I really liked everything. And I want to say that now my grandson, now you have a second generation reader in the family with my grandson with your works and the things that you have produced. So your work spans generations. From the early reader to the more mature reader. You have something that interests everybody. And because of your Rashida series, we plan on coming to Jackson to look at the Capitol and taking a little bit more history that way.
Oh, that's a fantastic way to learn for children and families. Museum tours really teaches a lot. And also, Mississippi State Capitol Tour teaches government, how a bill becomes a law, and the Mississippi Old Capitol Museum really teaches a lot. I've toured the Old Capitol with some of the members of the Learnership Book Club, and that's when I really discovered that people from around the world come to Jackson, Mississippi, to come to our museums.
Well, I like museums, and your grandbaby was excited when you had your activity over the summer, the reading club over the summer. So when you Gigi, we had that book, so he was excited about that. But you have to introduce your children to reading, and you have to show your children that reading is enjoyable and not just for school and not just, oh, I don't feel like doing it. You have to model for your children that reading is fundamental and reading is fun, and you can get a lot out of sitting quietly with the book.
Yes, and the other day, last week, Vicky featured Mary for Women's History Month as a book reteller. Mm-hmm. And so I did some research on Black-owned, independently owned bookstores, and I discovered, Oprah Winfrey, she was a part of this article. But anyway, the statistics showed that they just discovered that there were 125. That there were 125 Black-owned, independently owned bookstores in America.
Meredith, I'm sorry, I can hardly hear you.
Really?
Yeah, I can hardly hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Not as loud as you once were.
Okay, what about now? I just tried to speak up.
You just sound like that you're not speaking as loud as you first started.
What about now?
Well, somewhat.
Okay. So I was just talking about last week when you interviewed Mary Hardy for the Book Toasters speaker series, and how I had done that research to show that there are 125 known independently owned Black bookstores in America, compared to 10,800 bookstores owned predominantly by whites and maybe some of the other races. And also that the book industry itself is a $25 billion industry. And then when you look at public education and how reading has declined in public schools and in the home of our race, and that the Black author is underrepresented in the classroom. The episode that you two did, really, I talked to some teachers and I was telling them we really need teachers to help Black authors get in the classroom, because it's going to be beneficial to the Black reader, the child, as well as to the author, because Blacks does have a way of storytelling that creates readers in the Black community, because people like to see themselves in the characters, and the storytelling is really different. For instance, in our Learnership Book Club, we have a Latino reader. And before she joined our book club in December of 2020, her mother, she lives in Belize, in Central America below Mexico, said she was not reading at all our board sent her a book on Selena, which is a music icon in their culture, and Cesar Chavez, the farm worker who was famous. And her mother said she started reading. She comes to our book club every month, and we also sent her a book about Latin American history because children identify with their own history, characters about them, and their own culture. And that's something that we need more in our community. And the statistics show our underrepresentation in it.
We need it for. Well, I gotta have it when I get and then in Southern Times when I take it out there. I'll get the name changed. Hello, Poppin. What's that? It's a book club. Maybe send us a link. They have some.
And I'm typing the name of it in the chat. It's called the Learning Tree Book Club. I'll see if I can find how you get the tickets. Can you see it in the chat?
It's in there. It's in the chat.
That's how you get the tickets or you could email us and just give us your email address and we could give you a ticket.
I don't know what I did to my leg, but look at it.
Okay, so are there any other questions or comments from people in the audience? Are there any books that I discussed that you are interested in buying or learning more about?
Now, Mary, the book that you were commenting on about all of the women that were very famous and during the History Month, I noticed you were talking about Fannie Lou Hamer, but you also talk about the Delta Queen. Now, who is she now?
Who now?
Oh, is that for me?
Yes, Mary, that's for you.
Okay.
Because I was saying you at one time was saying about the Delta Queen, and that's why I was asking about who is she?
Oh, Mary Shepherd. Mary Shepherd was the owner of Club Ebony and instrumental in getting B.B. King back to do Family Day in July of each year. And she's also instrumental in spearheading, putting the thoughts in the heads of others for the Interpretive Center, the B.B. King Interpretive Center in Indianola, Mississippi.
Okay.
Mary Shepherd.
His charge. He's wanting his charge. Huh? Oh.
And where is Club Ebony? I've heard a lot about Club Ebony. Where is it?
Club Ebony? Club Ebony is located in Indianola, Mississippi.
Okay,
Mary
that's what I
Shepherd
thought.
owned Club Ebony for about 30 years. And she was, she did so many things. She was the financial person. She was the cook. She cleaned. She arranged for the shows and events there. B.B. King was very, very close to her, and he performed at the club. I'm thinking he probably had a share in that club. So,
yeah.
This is the book. The book was written by Jenny Gunn, John Gunn, and Carol Gunn, and it's the story of Mary Shepherd.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that on your page. What put your cash app in the chat, and I'm gonna order that. How much is shipping for it? Just tell me what the price is and put in the chat, and I order that one.
Okay, all right, I'll do that.
Okay.
That might be the lady that
Mary,
talk about.
I heard you do
publishing
that
the
on your Moments with Mary about a couple
Yes,
of weeks ago.
I did spotlight her on Moments with Mary.
So you know I had to go pull my book out, right?
Right.
Oh, you
It's
done
in
read
reading.
that book too?
I have a copy. I do. I haven't read it yet, but I do have a copy.
Okay, okay.
I haven't finished reading it, but I did pull it out.
And who wrote the book about Mary Shepherd?
Jenny Gunn.
And she's from Indianola as well.
She's from the Delta area. I want to say, I don't see it right now, but the three are Delta. I believe they're cousins. Jenny, John, and Carol Gunn.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm not familiar with this. I'm not familiar with them.
But they're from the Delta.
My copy of the book is autographed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Where did you meet her at?
I did, and someone blessed me with this book, so I hadn't met her.
Oh, I see. Yes, always good.
This one is also autographed. It's autographed.
Oh, okay. Now this is my father's book, Time and After Time Ahead. It's a religious book, and so there are 3 generations of authors in my family. Both my mother and father are authors. I'm an author, and my great niece is an author, and my niece illustrated my great niece's book, and that's one of the books in our collection. But I'm gonna read a couple of paragraphs of the forward that I wrote for my father's book. Time and time after ahead was originally released by my father, a Bible scholar, before the rise of print on demand and ebooks. He and my stepmother, Catherine Dawn Coleman, started BCII publication at a time when self-publishers had to invest in boxes of books to get a discount on print copies. Does anybody remember that? When authors had to buy boxes, invest thousands of dollars in a book before to get a discount. This was like early 2000 in the 90s, 80s. If they didn't get a commercial publisher, they would use a subsidy publisher, and they had to buy just boxes of books, which was very expensive. But print on demand, a change was a game changer, because you can get 10 books now, or 20 books, or a box. Even a box is less now with print on demand, even if you go to England. But anyway, there were 25,000 self-publishers in the U.S. then,
when she retired,
compared to 1.68 million today. My 2 younger sisters played roles in the publication of the first printing of Time and After Time Ahead. Daddy's knee baby, Willa Coleman Ridgway, wrote an endorsement, and his baby, Jocelyn Coleman, who was a teenager at the time, drew the art concept for the cover, which included the moon, stars, and a clock. The ancient Hebrew or Jewish calendar, which was influenced by Israelite and Babylonian societies, is lunisolar because it was in sync with the natural cycles of the sun, the moon, and the Holy Scripture. Use of the 13-month calendar dates to 780 850 CE. The concepts follow cosmological seasons. Mathematical concepts were applied to ensure religious ceremonies occurred at the same time each year. Our father was the first author in our immediate family. Today, we have three generations of authors in his bloodline. I'm the eldest daughter, am an author and a book publisher. And these are some of the I was able to add historical pictures to my father's book when I did, and also was able to do a ebook because they didn't have ebooks when he first printed his book in 2001. A lot of technology is changing every 6 months. Now we're doing book events on Zoom and live on Facebook and other events. So in the last year, a lot has changed. Okay, I see how much it is in the chat. So I
said his last change.
Okay, so are there any questions or comments about any of the books or the one I just read?
You tell them about your pen name. No, your pen name for Nashida.
The pen.
Your pen name.
Oh, Nashida means student. And there are 3 Nashida books. Nashida Business, the Smith Robinson Museum, which is the first one. Nashida Business, the Mississippi State Capitol, and Nashida Business, Mississippi's Old Capitol Museum.
And what's the price of those 3 books?
The hardback Nashida Business, the Old Capitol Museum, is $12.98. The softback, which I think is 80 pages, is $6.98. Nashida Visits the Mississippi State Capitol, the hardcover is $12.98, and the soft cover is $7.98. And the Nashida Business, the Smith Robinson Museum, the hardback edition is $12.98, and the soft cover book is $5, and this is the soft back, $5.98.
Okay.
That's a picture of Fannie Lou Hamer in the book. The Nashida, the Smith Robinson Museum really introduces people who give or do the tour to Mississippi history. Now, this is the a picture of the Mississippi Freedom Pardon. I think this was 1964, and that's when
that's in that museum.
This is a picture of on this side, a one-room shack that a sharecropper lived in Hines County. And on this side, um, you see the sack. Most kids have never seen a sack or even or the extent of what how much work went into putting the cotton in a sack like that. And this is
They sure don't.
because my cousin's grandfather had cotton in his field when I was a child in the 70s. And we would go out there and just be playing around, and he would fuss at us because we didn't, you know, because we didn't understand that was his cash crop. And that was serious business to him. To us, we just run out there, picking it or dropping it or whatever. But just imagine that. And that was my generation. That several generations later, Mary Harding, who was Mary Harrison Coleman, we published her memoir. She grew up in Harperville, Scott County, Mississippi. And when we went to O'Bannon High School, and she spoke to the class there, that was Miss McCormick's class. And she was telling them about her life growing up on a farm, living in a shack, and picking cotton, and how for lunch their desk was their lap on the first pew of the church, because that's where their school was, and how their lunch would be whatever was left over the night before, cornbread, greens, or whatever, until the county started feeding them a hot dog or some pork and beans. Well, they had read a fiction book, Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. They had never heard anyone talk about being the life of sharecropper. So they were saying, "Are you the character in the book Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry?" Because here she was telling them how life was. She was born also in 1933. She just turned 88. But that was amazing to me that they had never heard the stories, because I thought if they lived in Greenville in the Mississippi Delta, surely someone in their family had lived this life. But I guess, sometimes people don't talk about 60 years ago, what life was like 60 years ago. But the books do, they introduce people or even children to our history.
Pages.
Well, that's true.
Lord.
We don't talk about it. My two sisters are on here, Lorraine and Dot are on here. So we have a real story of picking cotton. I was the cotton picker. I had to pick enough cotton to please mom and daddy for Lorraine and Dot. Because Lorraine couldn't pick. She has real pretty nails, real pretty hands. So she just kind of eased it in and eased it out. So I had to pick the cotton. So I know all about it.
How much cotton could you pick?
I could pick at least 200 pounds plus a day. So if I picked, it was a surety. If I picked 110, 115 in the morning, I know I could finish it out in the afternoon. So I would say 200 plus pounds a day, but I would get out there early so I could get that cotton with the dew on it, and it weighed a lot more in early morning than it did afternoon. So yeah, I know all about picking cotton.
Yes,
But
we
we
do.
we didn't live on a plantation. We had our own cotton. My daddy planted. It was 9 of us, and my daddy would plant at least 9 acres of cotton. He said that was an acre for each one of us. So we didn't have to. We would leave home and pick cotton sometime, if we wanted a little extra money. But we lived on our own farm. We didn't live on someone else's farm. That was the beauty of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, do you remember how much money your father used to get uh for cotton when you was a child?
I'm thinking and I'm not sure, but I can remember him talking about at least $500 a bale, because it's worth
Wow.
a lot more
Yeah,
now.
that's it.
Wow. Isn't that something? And so that my uncle and mother, they grew up on their own farm, 84-acre a farm. Now my grandfather, Moses, but everybody called him Cap Meredith. He had a 5th grade education. And my grandmother, Roxy Patterson Meredith from Kosciuszko, Mississippi, had an 8th grade education. But my grandfather was a math whiz. They say that he could figure out how much money they're supposed to give him when he got to the cotton gin before they wrote it out in his head.
Mm-hmm.
And
Don't be
he
scared.
was born in 1891
Mm-hmm.
in Noxapater, Mississippi. His mother, his father was Ned Meredith, and Ned Meredith was born in 1849 or 1850. That's my great grandfather. When I purchased his marriage license to his first wife, which I bought from Philadelphia, Mississippi, they got married in 1877. He signed the X on his marriage license. He was literate, and so was his first wife, Ellen. His second wife, I come under his second wife. He was married 4 times. Her name was Frances Brown Meredith. Her father was Josiah Abigail Patterson Campbell. He became a Supreme Court justice in the state of Mississippi. But he loved Frances, and Frances was educated. She was a school teacher when she married Ned Meredith in 1888. Now, she was born the same year as Ida B. Well, and back then, whites came to the South to educate
I get to
black
leave.
Reconstruction. But I learned the difference between people like you all, Mayor. When you were farmers, there was a more sheltering than it was people. It seemed to experience more racism when they lived on, as Miss Unita Blackwell used to say, the man's land. But one of the difference between Miss Unita Blackwell was that her husband
I gotta
had
leave. I got an appointment. Mary, I'll talk to you later. I gotta leave. I got an appointment
Okay,
at
thank
3:30.
you.
Okay.
oh yeah, on land that had been in his family since Reconstruction in Myersville. Uh, that land had been in their family since Reconstruction. But anyway, I thank you all for taking the time out of your day to come. My contact information is in the chat. And you all know Mary Harder, and she has access to any of the books. And I would just like to end with a quote from my uncle, which is you should let no excuse stand in your way. That's one of my favorite quotes of his, because it really means
That's a
it
good
says
one.
a lot.
No, let no excuse stand in your way.
Yes, absolutely. And
What
I'm
about the book, The Help?
based upon, you know, the story of Medgar Evers and how he was killed and the life during that time in Mississippi when all of the maids and everything were working, and how that story played out.
Well, the only thing I could tell you about the help, I've never read it, but my uncle and the lady who wrote the help and the guy who did the James Brown movie, and a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, they all received an award together in Natchez, Mississippi. A lot of people don't realize it, but my uncle is an author. He has, I think, 37 works, and he has two very populated memoirs, 3 years in Mississippi, and also a mission from God. And 3 years in Mississippi is in thousands of libraries around the world. And a mission from God is, I don't know how many places it is, but my uncle was the first published author in our family, you know, in our family period. He published his first book in 1966. And, you know, that was over 50 years ago. Any other questions or comments?
Well, I've enjoyed it, and I want to thank all that attended. Haven't taken a picture, but I have names of folks in attendance today. I have Dorothy Smith, I have Sharon Gullant, Lynette Stafford, Jean Pittman, Meredith McGee, Mary Hardy, Vicki Jenkins, Karen Bellamy, Lorene Cox, all in attendance today. So I want to thank you for attending. Thank Meredith for being brave enough to do this. This is my first virtual event at the book gallery. So I will host more events if someone is interested in sharing all about themselves or sharing their books. Just let me know.
Yeah, your phone gonna be bringing out the hook, because I know a number of authors just ready.
That's right. Yeah. Well, if you don't try something, if you don't give it a try, you'll never do it. And you just have to be brave enough to step out there and say, well, I'm going to try this. Because I had no idea how to put this together, but we've done it. So
That's right.
I'm available on Mondays, and I'm available on Monday mornings and Fridays. So if someone is interested, just let me know.
My mother always said, you will never learn until you try.
That's
And that
true.
is so true. Can't be scared.
Mhm.
And it's the stories that we tell that make a difference. Someone said yesterday on a conference, information feeds the mind, but storytelling touches the heart. So we need to continue to tell our stories.
That is so true.
So Meredith, you want to close it out?
Yes, I want to thank everyone for coming, and I look forward to seeing you guys at the next virtual event, and definitely in person, wherever that is. Have a great one. Thank you for coming.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, goodbye.